Detroit Den 313. We are back, Steve and Will, talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get going, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, blast the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. It's still draft week. It's still draft week. We're this close. We're this close. But before we get to a draft that might not be as good as the draft that you're about to see today. Steve, let's lead us in. What are we doing here?
Mock draft. You did yours yesterday. It's my turn today, William. I'm going to tell you right now what I'm fixing to do here.
Fixing.
Finna. I think that's something a lot of kids say. What I'm fin to do here is I'm going to navigate these waters like Christopher Columbus when he sailed to America. Okay. Because I'm going to be
making the ocean blue.
Yeah. I'm going to be making some moves. Maybe I'm moving up. Maybe I'm moving back. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe it don't. But we're gonna be getting her going here. This was probably our final show before the actual draft tomorrow. So we're gonna kick it off here. Do a little screen share. There we go. You can see it. Everything good. Got it up.
Steve.
There she is, William.
I just want you to know before this thing gets going, I got my pen out.
Okay.
I got the notepad.
Okay.
I'm ready to go to school.
You ready to go? Hey, class is in session, baby. Let's go.
Class is in session. Let's do it.
Seven rounds. Detroit Lions. We're going to go fast. You guys don't want to be here all night watching all these other picks. We don't care. Let's enter this bad boy. Let's get it going. Boom. Let's pause. Let's make a trade. You know, we see what's going on. Top 10's pretty much wrapped up. Here's what we're going to do, William. We're getting on the phone here.
Okay.
We're getting on the phone. You know what I think we got to do here? I think New Orleans is a spot that we need to be. I think we need to get in that. I think we need to get in that top 15. What I'm going to give up. Here's what I'm going to give up right here. I'm obviously swapping this year. It's kind of a known standard. Now I'm moving up 15 spots, Will. I'm moving up 15 spots. You said you didn't want to see the Detroit Lions be complacent or be boring. I can't remember. What was the exact word you used the other day when we were talking about this?
I said I didn't want to see him be conservative. I want to see him be
conservative.
Aggressive.
You did not want to see conservative. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm giving up a first next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving up that Philly pick next year.
Okay.
I'm going to take because it's rightfully mine. It's no longer New Orleans' pick. I'm taking 14. I'm going to get back 170. Propose that. Confirm. Thank you for your pleasure. Let's do some business. Now, we got pick 14. We gave up next year's draft. Guys, I'm just going to justify it. I know there's going to be some questions. I'm moving up in this draft 15 spots. I don't think the Detroit Lions have any huge glaring needs on this year's team. We can get some depth. We can get some pieces. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm done trading. I'm not on the clock yet. As you can see, the New York Jets are technically on the clock when I hit resume. If I get a phone call when I'm on the clock and I like the offer, like I said, I'm going to be navigating these waters. I'm going to do what's best for the Detroit Lions, but I'm not going to be on here all night doing trades. So let's kick this bad boy off. Let's see what happens. That would be pick 15 to move back one more spot and gain a second rounder next year. That would be pretty tempting. But since we're not really concerned right now today about the 2025 NFL draft, I'm going to turn this one down. As much as I probably would take this in real life, for the sake of content, we're going to pass. But that is a pretty sweet deal to move back one spot, get a second rounder next year. I don't hate that idea. How would you feel about this one, William?
Buddy, I would not be involved in this because I'm not even in the room.
Maybe you're my assistant GM. Maybe I'm looking to you for some guidance here. Would you accept this or turn it down?
I called in sick.
Okay, well. I'm officially looking for a new assistant GM then apparently. So I'm going to reject this. So who do we got on the board here? Laiatu Latu just went. I got my pick between Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. This is the exact scenario I wanted to be in. I was kind of hoping Laiatu Latu would be there, but my three guys that I wanted in the top 15, I wanted two choices between Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. Now here's the thing. I really love Jared Verse. I really love Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner is the better edge rusher. I'm going to try in this scenario to give James Houston the benefit of the doubt and say, I think we could see something from him. I think he could be productive. Jared Verse has been my number one player in this draft. all year. I'm not going to back down. He's 90% of the reason I made this trade. Him, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Aiden Hutchinson on your defensive line for the next 5 years. I'm going to go ahead and take JV right there. Let's see what we do. Let's see what we do here. Well, kitchen's getting hot. We're whipping up some stew here. Here we are, 61. Not worth it for me for a third rounder next year to move back 9 spots. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one down. So let's take a gander. Let's take a peek. Let's see what kind of weapons we got out there. You know, so it looks like we might have had a little run on receiver. We're kind of down to Troy Franklin being the best available wide receiver. Offensive guard is a position of need kind of for the Lions. You know, we could use a nice little backup, but you know, we're still shopping. You know, we're walking around the store, we're shopping, we're seeing what's out there. Oh, Edgerrin Cooper. I don't know if that's realistic. In this scenario, I would sprint to the podium for Edgerrin Cooper. But I don't feel like that's realistic for the sake of mock drafts. But that is someone I'm very high on. I have to pass just because I don't think that's a realistic scenario. So I got my edge. I'm really kind of looking for a cornerback here, something I like. Maybe I can get someone in the later rounds. So I'm looking to shore up some offensive line depth. I guess I really just can't turn down Christian Mahogany at 75 because I don't feel like he's going to be there at 73 when my next pick is. And I don't really have any huge needs. I don't really have any glaring holes on this team. So I'm going to draft Mahogany. I don't think he's going to be there at my next pick. Wow. What we got here? Yeah, I'm not moving back 47 spots. Sorry, Philly. Kick rocks. Kick rocks. So here we are, 73. Got my starting defensive end. Got a backup guard. You know, I know a lot of people are worried about our offensive line. They're getting old. They're getting beat up. My assistant GM is taking the day off. He's not even going to talk to me in this episode, I guess. So just
I'm here, baby.
Just navigating these waters out here. My lonesome. So in this scenario, listen, I think we need a little bit of safety help or cornerback help. I'm sorry. Renardo Green is someone that I think is one of the most underrated corners in this draft. I think what he does in press man coverage is exactly the type of corner that Aaron Glenn's looking for. I think we can get him on the field in certain situations. If not, I think he's a very solid backup to sit for a few games, kind of learn the defense, learn how to be a pro. So I'm looking at Renardo Green there, but I'm not fully ready to commit yet. You know, I have some commitment issues right now. We're still doing a little shopping here. You don't just sprint to the checkout when you think you got everything you need.
I respect that.
But with what I'm looking at, I got my edge. I got my O-line. What do I really need? Let's shore up the secondary. Let's just go with Renardo Green. Maybe a little bit of a reach, ranked 90 out of, and I'm picking 70. I got a little here. Take a nap in between these picks.
It's a long ride from 73 to 164.
I'll go make myself a sandwich.
Right.
All right, here we go. 164. Detroit Lions back on the clock. So here's what I got so far. Got my Jared Verse. I got my backup guard. I got my starting, possibly cornerback, if not rotational piece. What am I looking for here? I'd like to get Jared Goff another weapon. I'd really like to get him a wide receiver. Who do I really like out of this list right here? Really like Jalen Coker. Not too high on Cornelius Johnson, Michigan man. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot, but I want to get Jared Goff a little something to play with. We kind of did an episode one day, I can't remember how long ago it was, where we were talking about how we don't want the Detroit Lions offense to become stale. The only thing we've really added in free agency has been Kevin Zeitler. I don't think he really spices up the offense. I like the signing, but is he a sexy toy? No. Let's go get Jalen Coker from Holy Cross. Here we are again, 170. See, this is the Saints pick that we traded for. So here we are again, still in the top 200, making plays. Let's see what's out there, William. Don't really like any of the guards. I'd like to get one more, but if I can, I can't. Let's check some defense. Let's check. My next pick is at 201, so I might be reaching here a little bit for some guys, but I don't know if I really trust that all these people will be completely available. Like I'm looking at Sione Vaki. I'm hoping he's there at 201. So I'm going to pass on him at 170. Let's see who's there. Let's see if we got any edge rushers. William, I think is just, I don't even think he's in here anymore. I think he left. He's just,
I'm just taking notes, buddy.
Just left me high and dry here. Round 5. You know what? I don't think the Lions are in a huge need for a running back. And this might be my questionable pick. And I've had this kid mocked in a couple of my my mocks that I've done today while I was doing a little practice. But Isaac Guarendo absolutely lit up the combine. I think he ran like a 4.3 something. I'm looking for him to come in and compete with Reynolds for that third spot on the depth chart. I think you can have 3 running backs for sure. And in today's NFL, these guys take hits, man. If someone tweaks something or misses, has to miss a couple times, and Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery's really carrying the load, and you got that second running back coming in, I think I would trust Isaac Guarendo more than I would Reynolds. So I'm gonna take a shot here. This is probably my questionable pick, but I kind of saw this coming. This is a kid I really like out of Louisville.
I dig it.
Here we go, 201. I know exactly what I'm wanting. I already said it. I hinted at it. Let's see if he's still there. Sione Vaki. Listen, I know you had him in your mock draft yesterday too. That's probably the only pick we're going to have that's similar. Swiss Army knife of a safety. Can play some safety, converted running back. I think he could be a special teams weapon in round 6. I think we're getting a steal here, William. How do you feel about Vaki real quick? I know you've been kind of quiet, but how do you feel about Sione?
Yeah, I love Sione, man. I think that he's a guy that's going to immediately come in and contribute on special teams. So when you're in, later 6th, 7th round, and you're getting guys that are going to contribute to the team immediately, I think any of those picks is awesome.
Yeah, I like Vaki. Like I said, I was looking at him at 170. That was a little bit too much of a reach for me. 201 seems more reasonable. 205, I could probably try to hold on to 205, but I got other plans at 205. Well, I'm just a chef. The chef comes to the kitchen with all his tools and he's ready to put everything in the pot. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Here we are, William. 205. Listen, as you can see, I've clicked on the kicker tab. Not sexy. Cam Little from Arkansas, probably the best, one of the top 3 kickers in this draft. Got to get me a kicker. Got to learn how to use a kicker too. That's another thing. You come in, you get someone to compete with the Money Badger. Dan Campbell's going to have a decision to make. And I think he's going to trust the defense a little bit more this year. I think he's going to take some points when he can get them. And I could have taken him at 249, but I want to get my kicker because I'm really liking my draft. Now, here's the steal of the draft right here, William. You already see it, Ainias Smith. And I knew that this kid was going to be here. I wish I could see your face right now because I'm too busy locked into this draft. But I know you're very high on this kid. So round 7, possible starting wide receiver, come in, compete, fight for Antoine Green for that last spot. I think Ainias Smith comes in and he wins that battle. If not, I'm hoping we can figure out a way to keep him on the team, practice squad, something. But I really like this kid. I think in a couple years he could develop into a nice piece. There it is, folks. Jared Verse, Christian Mahogany, Renardo Green, Jalen Coker, Isaac Guarendo, Sione Vaki, Cam Little, Ainias Smith. Will, how does this draft make you feel?
This draft, if I'm being honest, this draft makes me feel okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It makes me feel okay. It makes me feel like I don't feel bad at all. I mean, we're looking at a draft to where we're walking away with Jared Verse on our team. Right? So for me to be able to tell you that I feel bad when I got a little bit of online depth, I got secondary help, right? I got Jared Verse and Aiden Hutchinson playing on the same team. Those are things that I really, really like. My concern would be I'm not sold on Jalen Coker. Like it's not not that he's bad, but I just think that in a draft where we're so receiver heavy. I just think that there's a lot of weapons for me personally that I would like to have a little bit more. But I think you definitely did the best for the position that you were in, without a doubt. Green, he's tough. Uh, I don't know what he ends up being. I don't know if he ends up beating out the guys that we got or not. You know, if guys are
I
healthy, but I like it as a depth piece.
I think if he's going to compete with anyone, it's going to be Amik Robertson right off the rip. Carlton Davis is locked in. That second cornerback spot, let's go to training camp and battle. Let's see.
Yeah.
I think Amik would come out on top. Veteran, he's got a lot more experience, but I don't think Renardo Green in the third round is going to come here and say, yeah, I'm okay with sitting the bench. I think he's a competitor. He's going to come in here. He plays press man coverage. That's exactly what Aaron Glenn needs. That's what this defense needs. Amik would beat him out, but
yeah.
Week 5, week 6, maybe Renardo's looking good. You know, he's getting his legs under him. I can see him coming in for a series or two, giving someone a blow. God forbid, hopefully we don't have any injuries. Someone I'm comfortable throwing in there is depth piece. After my verse pick, everything's for depth. I don't think the Lions need anything. I think we need that other edge rusher of Hutchinson. Everything else, my mindset is depth, just in case. Like, there's no, oh man, I gotta have this. It's let's get some things stirred up. Let's have some warm and fuzzies.
Yeah, and that's I think where we differ, man, in a sense of I feel like we need a Sam linebacker, man. I feel like we need somebody that's a little bit more athletic, that can run with running backs out of the backfield, that can run with tight ends, that can also offer versatility. All right. So if I put you out there on that edge, James Houston, you've been exposed in the passing game if you're not rushing the quarterback. If you're catching a slot receiver, if you're catching a tight end, if you're catching a running back, you've been exposed. If you take a step forward, so be it. I haven't seen it yet on film. That's something I worry about. So if you're on the field, I'm either going to expose you or I know that you're coming. I know you're the biggest thing that I fear on a football field is the offense or defense having options. By options, I mean I can't look at your personnel and understand what you're trying to do. If James Houston is out there, I got a strong understanding of what you're trying to do. So that's a bit of a worry for me, because even if you have Verse out there and Hutch, is there going to be ways to expose that area? That's a point of attack and emphasis for me. So that would be one area that would be concerned. Like I said, the receiver situation in a receiver heavy draft, walking away with Coker. I don't know. I just think that there's some more guys out there that we could potentially walk away with if we're aggressive. The running back, I did like that, especially when you got him a little bit later in the draft, a guy like that who, you know, when you have those type of traits, you could turn into something later. So who knows, man? Maybe when David Montgomery is hanging these things up, maybe that's when he's taking a huge step forward. You know what I mean? He's finally figuring it out. So that could end up being a steal potentially. The kicker, man. How you feel about Jake Bates? You don't think we'll go after Jake Bates? Because that's kind of where I've been. That's why I didn't go after a kicker myself. It's like we got the Money Badger, and then Jake Bates is he's got ties to us a little bit. He's right there in our hometown. He's playing in our stadium already, and I know we've made contact. How you feel about him?
Here's the thing, and shame on me for not knowing. I'm not sure what the USFL rules are for when I can contact Jake Bates and get him here.
They've already talked to him.
Right, and I've heard that they weren't supposed to be talking to him. I heard he's not supposed to be in contact with other teams. I don't know if that's true. I could be wrong. But I heard that someone did reach out, and that's a no-no because he is still technically a professional football player. He is receiving money contractually from the Michigan Panthers. That is a professional organization. So if another professional organization reaches out, I believe that's tampering. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how all those the wording and the verbiage works. I could be wrong on this, but if I had to just play it safe and not talk to him at all, I'll take a kicker from I can't even remember who I took. Hardy?
Yeah.
Cam Little. Sorry. Hardy was
Cam
the kid
Little
from Alabama.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something I'm open to. If Jake Bates is someone they can get into camp, absolutely. But going into this, not fully being sure if I can touch him or not, I'll just play it safe.
Yeah, I know that, you know, come season time, you know, we can talk to him after that. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, there was some things that I didn't know about Jake Bates. when he made that 65-yard field goal, I thought he just kicked the bomb. He's got a huge leg, and it just happened to go in. I didn't understand that. They iced him. He kicked it, and he made it. And then he came back and made it again.
Yeah.
Then the 2 weeks later, he came out and he kicked a 61-yarder, I believe, or 62-yarder. So that's showing me that this dude has a potential to be able to kick this football for real. It wasn't just a fluke. So I don't know, man. If I'm grabbing a kicker, it's gonna be Jake Bates, unless he's got other interests and he's not interested. But that would be my guy. But all in all, man, like I'm saying, you had a draft, man, where we walked away with Jared Verse. Like, we already know we're darn near Florida State Seminoles, darn near. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's any of these guys, man. Fisk, Verse, Green. Actually, you got two of them. Yeah. So
Bernardo Green and Jared Verse.
Yeah, Keon Coleman. Like, they got dogs out there, man. So for that alone, man, I got to give you some props. But for me, I got to be honest, I want us to be a little bit more aggressive. I do like to trade up, but I feel like it kind of put us in a situation till we were handcuffed a little bit, because then after 15, we didn't pick again until 61, I believe.
Big gap.
Yeah, then it was 73. And then, like you said, you were going to make a sandwich before the next pick. And I think that was the window where a lot of these receivers, a lot of these defensive backs, when I was looking at you on the board, a lot of the people that I like, that cluster of guys that I talk about, a lot of those guys were gone in that window, man. So that's the window that I want to get into. That's the window that I want to see Brad. We don't have a 4th round draft pick. I want to see him get an extra pick in the 3rd, an extra pick in the 4th, somewhere in there. So other than that, man, I think it was a pretty good draft. I will say Aeneas Smith, I don't think that he's going to be there at the back half of the draft like he was for you. But if he is, I sprint to the podium because I think that he's an absolute dog. You know how I feel about him.
Well, it's the same thing. Like, I'll tell you right now, like with the Sam linebacker position at 61, the guy I had my eyes on was Peyton Wilson. That's a guy who's been in there in a lot of mock drafts I've done today, just kind of practicing, getting my feet wet, seeing who's there, seeing who's not. Peyton Wilson was there every single time. That was my pick. So I didn't want to say it, but I was a little shocked he wasn't there. But I'll take an offensive guard. I'll shore up my offensive line. And, I try to keep it realistic because Edgerrin Cooper was there. Yeah. He's not going to be there at 61. We both know
he's
that.
Not. Yeah, not at all.
I have to look at that and say, man, in real life, I leave this draft with Edgerrin Cooper and Jared Verse. I could just turn on auto draft for the rest of the day and not even have to worry about it. But being realistic, Peyton Wilson was the guy I was eyeing at 61. Not there. First time all day. I probably did like 10 mock drafts today. Yeah. And this was the first one where Peyton Wilson wasn't there. But I said, all right.
Go over that first trade with me again. What was it? It was you gave up pick 14, or you gave up pick 29 for pick 14.
Yep.
First rounder next year.
And a 4th rounder from the Eagles.
Yep.
And we got pick 170 this year. So we didn't lose anything in this year's draft.
Yeah. You gave up a 4th rounder and a 1st rounder.
Yes.
Right. And then you got back pick 29 and 170.
14 and 170. We gave up 29.
Oh yeah. 14 and 170. Okay. I don't know, man. I feel like giving up that 1st rounder, we could get more, man. I just feel like there's more.
You gave it up for a 2nd rounder yesterday.
Yeah, but when I'm looking at that 2nd rounder, man, like I said before, I'm looking at, my hope is that we're picking at pick 32, right? And if
That's
we're not,
my hope for next year too. When the Saints are picking, it's pick 32.
No, I get it, but what I'm saying is I'm trading for pick 33. My hope is that I'm trading, my 1st round pick was pick 32, right? So, and even if it's not, just, if we have a replica or something similar to this season, I'm trading pick 29. Like it's really essentially not that big of a deal, So, but I do understand where you're coming from. So all in all, man, Steve, I'm gonna tell you this, man. If we leave the draft and Jared Verse is wearing Honolulu blue, I'm gonna sleep good. And I'm not gonna say I don't care what happens in the rest of the draft, because I do care, but regardless of what happens the rest of the draft, I'm gonna probably sleep pretty well. Will I say, man, there was some meat on the bone still, man? I think that we could have did a couple little things or whatever. Would I play a tiny little bit of a passenger seat GM? Maybe, but
you took the day off.
No, I'm not saying right now. I'm talking about on Thursday. Like if that happened on Thursday and we walked away with Jared Verse and I wasn't Now I was like, ah, man, I don't know, man. Maybe I would have did this or that. Maybe I'll say that, but I'm still gonna sleep phenomenally and be real happy.
So here's the thing. Like I said at the beginning, I've got 3 guys. I've got to leave this draft with one of them.
Yeah.
I think two of the 3 will be there in that position at 14. So if I got to put myself in that position, what's the tag to move up 15 spots? It's probably a first round pick. But when I go into next year, I can address some things in free agency. I still have a very, very, very young core on this team that I have under contract, minus an offensive line, a couple corners. I can fix that. I'm not saying I'm kicking the can down the road, but you're not going to find a team in the NFL that has stacked at Pro Bowlers, all 53 guys. Like you're going to have some holes. You're going to have some depth. Now, I had some other things I would have liked to do in this draft, but we don't have to get into all that. But with that trade, I said I need Dallas Turner, Laitu Latu, Jared Verse. I need one of those 3. If I could put myself in a position to have my pick of the litter, and I was a little surprised that Dallas Turner was there. It's usually been Laitu Latu, Jared Verse. Flip a coin for me in that scenario. One of those 2 guys, perfectly fine with. I just prefer Jared Verse a little bit more.
Yeah. Steve, just because this is our last show before the draft, I'm going to say this. All this stuff is fine, fun, and dandy, but the Detroit Lions select Darius Robinson. And that's not because that's where I went in my mock draft. I just want to put it out there. That's what I truly believe. Unless he goes earlier. And I just think that it's the story behind it. It's who he is. More I watch every interview, he's answering the questions just crazy right, man, just phenomenally. And I haven't heard a lot of Detroit buzz about him. I've heard in the mock drafts in the beginning, people were saying it or whatever, but I haven't heard a lot of Detroit buzz about Darius Robinson. It's been kind of quiet. I did see Dan Campbell asked about Darius Robinson, and he was very vanilla. Oh, kid's pretty good, man. He's he's a tough kid or whatever. It's like, there's something fishy. There's something fishy going on. Because I feel like I remember how they talked about Aiden. Aiden's a heck of a football player, man. There's a lot of good football players in this draft, but he's a good just downplay. So, but I could also see what people are saying with Kool-Aid McKinstry and some of these corners, because Brad Holmes did also say to that. He said they're normal.
Yeah,
they're
good
normal
football players.
So
very, very vague.
Yeah, so I think it'll either be corner or Darius Robinson will be a Detroit Lions. I'm ultimately pretty good with either, as long as we're aggressive, man. At some point, I don't see us necessarily having to move on from pick 29 and do anything super crazy to move up. But I think if we did and we ended up with Jared Verse, I'd be very happy, Steve. So I tip my hat to you.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. This was our last draft show for 2024. We started this back when we took a couple of days off after the Lions lost in the championship because we had to lick our wounds and nurse things and kind of get our minds right and back into football. I needed a couple of days. I was devastated.
Yeah.
And then after that, from like the end of January until today, we've been hammering prospects, draft, a little free agency sprinkled in here and there, some trade rumors here and there. But we've been very heavy on the draft, so it's kind of a sad day. No more draft until 2025.
It's nuts, man. It went by so fast. As far as much as we wanted it to get here, and I felt like the time was moving slow a little bit. Now reflecting on it, I feel like time moved pretty fast. But before you wrap this thing, I do want to say this. If you're still here watching at 28 minutes while we're rambling in the last little bit of this video, you're a true blue. You're a diehard. You're somebody that's been supporting us through and through, and we definitely appreciate it. Everybody who's been especially the one who watched those first few videos and been with us since then, since we had no freaking clue what we were doing. We were down there in the basement with lights and sticking stuff on top of boxes and propping up phones, and it was crazy.
Papers over windows.
Yeah, man, it was nuts, man. So just thank you to everybody that's been supporting us. If you've been sharing it, if you've been telling friends about us, if you've just been watching, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and hopefully you get some of these new jerseys that are going to be coming out over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. And also just real quick, this is our last draft show. Our next show, we're taking Thursday off. Obviously Thursday is the draft. If you're traveling to Detroit or you're coming from out of town, travel safe, be careful, be responsible. It's going to be a crowded area and a lot of people in a small confined city. Detroit is not like massively huge. There's, the main streets are going to be crowded, obviously. Also our next show, probably going to be Friday morning. We're going to be talking about who a new Detroit Lion is. We're going to be, going from this mindset to all right, how does this guy improve this team? Unless we trade and we don't have a pick in the first round, which we've talked about. So maybe we don't have a show Friday. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll have to do another draft preview show, I guess. So maybe we could all be wrong. So we'll see, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave some comments, hit that like button. If you're new, stick around, subscribe. We'll be back Friday with another show.
Yes, sir. Peace.